Essay questions are among the most dreaded questions during exams, both in the academe and the industry. This type of question requires the examinee to compose rather than select the response. So, allow me to share with you some writing hacks to make it a little easier, especially in responding to SP101 peer-graded assignments. For this particular assignment, the most important things to remember are the following. First, read and understand the question. Read the question very carefully at least 2 to 3 times and make sure you understand what type of answer it calls for. Is it a summary, details, analysis, or an evaluation? When trying to understand the question, identify the keywords. Essay questions have keywords to communicate what type of answer they need. For example, an essay question that asks you to describe an issue requires an answer that's different from an essay question that asks you to justify a point. Some of the most common keywords include analyze, compare and contrast, define, describe, discuss, evaluate, explain, prove, and summarize. Next, follow the instructions and review the rubric for scoring. Instructors cite not following the instructions as the main reason why some learners do not do well on essay questions. How long is a 100 to 200 word essay? Depending on the complexity of your sentences, that would be around 5 to 10 sentences. So is it really possible to respond to a prompt with 100 to 200 words only and get a perfect score? The answer is yes. We've forwarded hundreds of essays to our instructor and many of them got perfect scores with just one paragraph. Let's take a look at the following comments given by SP101 Essing. Rubrics aren't provided for the evaluators alone. Use the rubric for scoring to determine what to include in your answer. Follow them to the letter and do not include non-essential information. Next, write now. Keep the ideas flowing. Write down things you've learned from the course, from your peers, and from your own reading. Think about your own experiences related to the topic and try incorporating them into your answers to provide more concrete examples. In writing, come up with a thesis. The thesis is a central point or argument that you want to make. A clear thesis is essential for a focused essay. If possible, phrase the statement so that it rephrases the question's keywords into a statement which in a way answers it. Let's take a look at the following examples. First is a typical definition question. What's a fanzine? It requires you to state what something means, does, achieves, etc. The next prompt, discuss the different services a junior college offers to community. It's more analytical, which involves breaking something down into its components. The last prompt, despite criticism, television is useful because it aids in the socializing process of our children. This requires stating a clearly worded opinion or interpretation and then defending it with all the data, examples, facts, and so on that you can draw from the lessons you have studied. Then, choose relevant facts and figures to support your thesis statement. A well-written answer includes supporting details to the main idea. Ask yourself, what facts, figures, examples, etc. can it include to prove my point? Also, think about how to structure your answer. Take some time to consider the best way to organize the relevant facts and figures you've collected. What information should come first, second, third, etc. Take the time to make a rough outline of what you want to write and in what order you want to present them. Let's go back to the previous examples and identify the organizational patterns we can use in supporting the thesis. For the first example, which among the following items should we use to support the thesis? I'll give you a few seconds to read the options and type the letters of your answers in the comment section or in the chat box. Time's up. The correct answers are A, B, and D. It's a definition question that requires you to state what something means, does, etc., and not its effects. So we can expound on the thesis statement by stating the term to be defined, stating the class of objects or concepts to which the term belongs, and differentiating the term from other members of the class by listing the term's distinguishing characteristics. For the second prompt, which among the following items should we use to create the outline? A junior college offers the community at least 3 main types of educational services: vocational education for young people, continuing education for older people, and personal development for all individuals. Again, I'll give you a few seconds to read the options and type the letters of your answers in the comment section or in the chat box. Time's up. The correct answers are B, C, and D, which break down the main idea into the aforementioned components. Now, your outline may include vocational education, continuing education, and personal development. Write the essay describing each component and use transitions. Some useful transition words include first, second, third, etc., next, another, and in addition. So conclude the essay by emphasizing how each part you've described makes up the whole. Lastly, for this thesis statement, the rest of the answer is devoted to developing arguments A, B, and C. Useful transition words are therefore, for this reason, it follows that, as a result, etc. If your supporting details are lacking, do your own research. The beauty of online learning is that you can search for other relevant information online. Remember, writing is a productive skill that's complementary to receptive skills such as listening and reading. It will be hard to form an opinion over something or discuss concepts that we do not understand. However, when doing your own research, be careful not to commit plagiarism. Simply, plagiarism is the act of presenting others' ideas as your own, whether or not it's intentional. You should properly cite others when you incorporate their words and ideas into your work. One of the most important ways to avoid plagiarism is to be a disciplined note taker. Keep track of your references and cite them later in your essay. You don't necessarily have to submit a page bibliography or RRL for a short answer. One of the most simple yet obvious ways to avoid plagiarism is by using quotation marks around the text to denote that the words are not your own. And remember, just because it was accidental doesn't mean it's not plagiarism. Here's a visual guide that can help you decide which pieces of information need to be cited and how to cite them properly. Start by asking the question, is the information, data, or opinion your idea? Yes or no? Have you published the info before? Yes or no? Is the information common knowledge? Yes, no. Are you copying the source exactly, putting it into your words, sentence by sentence, or reporting a lot of info in a few lines? If you're copying exactly, cite as a quotation. Your own words line by line, cite as a paraphrase. Your own words reporting a lot of info in a few lines, then cite as a summary. Now that you've written your short answer, review and make the necessary corrections. Go back to the rubric for scoring and try to assess your own answer given the criteria. Focused writing. Does your answer all parts of the question without a lot of random ideas which have little or nothing to do with the question? People often think that adding random facts or ideas will help improve their grades. The opposite is true. Adding random, unrelated ideas or facts almost always results in the reduction of points from your grade. Structured writing. You know the answer to the question, but your ability to communicate that knowledge depends on how well you structure your answer. Did you include a strong thesis statement and end with a conclusion? Are your supporting ideas arranged in such a way your readers will be able to follow? Take advantage of editing software. This is where tools like Grammarly save the day. Although grammar and mechanics are not part of the rubric, these advanced tools are designed to enhance your writing and readability. Grammarly also has a Chrome extension that allows you to edit on the go. It's incredibly handy for learners who write their posts directly through an online platform. Before we end our session, here are some writing tips from your fellow scholars posted on the discussion boards. Feel free to share your own writing hacks with us in the comment section or in the chat box. Once again, here are the hacks we've learned from this session. Read and understand the question, identifying the keywords. Read the instructions and review the rubric for scoring. Start writing, edit and proofread your work. In an essay exam, don't just present facts. Demonstrate your knowledge and understanding of the facts in a greater context. And lastly, keep it short and simple. Thank you and good luck.